Well, condos for me, honestly, were so confusing when I was originating. I just need someone to freaking tell me if we can do the condo or not. Somebody else tell me. So, because honestly, that's how I felt about it. But there's so much that you can know and that you can help yourself with. And so hopefully that's what we're going to cover some of that. And then how do we best utilize the condo team?
Yes, absolutely. So it's one of those that we appreciate when people reach out to us and ask us, maybe someone is looking to put an offer in and we get the emails for research all day long. Have we done this one? How does it look? Is there any red flags? And we love being able to have that ability to do that for you guys, because if we can give you a heads up first off, then we're happy to do that. Happy to let you know that we've done this one before and it went well, or we already looked at this one and it was non-warrantable. So it's definitely something that we do want everyone to know that we do this for you. Just send us an email, give us the address, if you have the project name, any information that you have. Sometimes we get the link for the MLS, and that way we can go on and take a look at it. We look at our investors that have condo lists as well. We review them. We go to the Fannie Mae CPM Condo Project Manager site and search it as well. We do just like a Google search and look to see if it's got like short-term rentals listed, nightly rentals, or if it, looks like it's in an area that might be ones where they have the condo hotels. So it's definitely something that we're happy to research. We'll also look and see if it's on the FHA or VA condo list. And we also send those links out if you ever want to utilize those yourselves. Probably the best thing that we try to teach the teams, because a lot of times if you get somebody calling it a townhome or a patio home, it could be either a condo or a PUD. So a townhome, they love to use that term, and it can be either one. So we look at the legal description first to see if it lists it as a lot or a unit. Most of the time, if it lists it as a lot, it'll be a PUD. If it's a unit, it's usually a condo. There are some that do get really creative with their legal descriptions and put both. So we do have ones where we definitely have to get the CC&Rs and review them and see, does it list horizontal property regime, or does it list that it follows some kind of condominium statute for the state it's in. So that's usually the best, one of the best items that I think we provide for everyone is just being able to help vet it out in the beginning, maybe before the borrower has even put a offer in on a place. And I know with some areas there in Colorado, because of the beautiful areas, that there are the ones with condo hotels. Luckily, we do now have investors that we can do the non-warrantable condos with. I know we just had the company call on Wednesday, and Bayview sounds like they will now do exceptions with properties that are condo hotels. So that's a nice item to keep in mind if we do end up with any that we find have the condo hotel like features. Usually it's their websites help the unit owners rent them out on a nightly basis, or maybe they offer condo hotel like amenities where they do the maybe the maid service, room cleaning, or like a rental desk where people can check in for the overnight visits. So that is probably one of the other items that is fairly recent that we've really had to drill down on. The most recent updates from Fannie and Freddie have been over special assessments and any deferred maintenance. We now are tasked with asking if there's any special assessments and deferred maintenance. And if there are, we have a 3-page questionnaire that addendum that Fannie Mae has came out with that we have to get completed to verify that there's no significant deferred maintenance that affects like the health and safety of the condo project. So we've actually had a couple that we've had to already decline for that reason. So they definitely keep us on our toes. I look at guidelines. I go and I search guidelines every day, make sure that any of our investors have updated their guidelines. Chase probably has the most overlays on condos. We rarely sell to Chase unless somebody locks directly with them, just because they do like to have their overlays. If you have a 75% investment property, they don't allow a limited review. You have to do a full review to send it to Chase. That's probably one of their biggest overlays. Trying to think what else, we do. Then new construction is always a full new construction review where we have to review all the legal documents that go with it. And but if it's not new construction, then the limited reviews, because your primary can go up to 90%, your second home to 75%, and investment homes up to 75%. That's excluding Chase. So detached condos and 2 to 4 units, those get a waiver. So the waiver condo review, we have to review it for any of the ineligible items that they look at, and like we look at for, say, if it's a condo hotel or if it has a single entity ownership issue. Just the list is probably about 12 items long, and then we also have to check the HOA insurance. So even on a detached condo or a 2 to 4 unit, we still have to review those and just verify that it meets, that there's no ineligible items and that the HOA insurance meets. On some of the 2 to 4 units where they have no HOA, we will obtain the CCNRs and just verify that if the 2 units or 4 units don't want to have an HOA, that they can just carry their own HO6 insurance with liability coverage. So we do have, the kind of the weird exceptions, I guess you could call it, unusual exceptions. So we do see a few of those, especially around here up in Scottsdale. They have a lot of, they call them Gemini units. So they're just little 2-unit condo projects. But we definitely do have to take a look at those. We've had a few that we didn't get until they were trying to go to documents and, go to docs and fund. And they found out maybe either the appraisal or the prelim, something came in and showed condominium. So we do prioritize our reviews based on purchases first and then our refinances. But basically we also by close of escrow. So if we know you have a closing date or a purchase contract, when the money goes hard that you're trying to meet, let us know. We definitely want to be aware of any kind of guidelines or any dates that you have that we need to meet so that we can hopefully get these done and completed and answered for you in a timely manner. I guess probably our other biggest item is just how long it takes some of the HOAs or their property management companies to get us the documents. And if we find we have delays, we definitely let you guys know, because sometimes we have to get like a seller involved to get sometimes an answer, get the documents back. Were you gonna say something, Dave?
Yeah, well, I was just gonna say, so it sounds like there's a big opportunity, but I'd like to hear from some of the loan officers that are in the trenches with this, that big opportunity here is that we can always get an answer in advance from you, but it depends. Like it may take more than just you doing a couple of checks if you've never done the project before. And do I hear you right that you guys catalog everything so that if you have done a project before, you keep that information handy and you always can know?
Yes.
Okay, so that's great news. From a loan officer's perspective, where this becomes really problematic is the offers getting written.
Yes.
And, first thing that happens is we get real estate agents that write offers without giving us an opportunity to, I'm assuming this is still problematic from when I was in the business or when I was in production, that realtors just write the offer and then, you have a condo that may or may not be approved. My first purchase deal, by the way, I've told the story. So, how much time do you guys get? Like, how much time does the realtor, is it just that the realtor may give you an opportunity to find out and he may not, and then you're stuck with a contract? Is that the biggest issue that you're running into, Curtis and Ryan? I know that you guys you have the most purchase experience under your belt. Is that the most common?
Sorry, say that one more time. In terms of
Is the biggest issue that you run into with condos is the realtor just goes out and writes the offer?
No, because every single pre-approval that we issue, I mean, at least on our team, we tell them we can't close definitely no shorter than 3 weeks because of that reason. So, but I'm
talking about them writing the offer in advance. So like, do you get the time, or do you have the realtor that just goes and writes the offer and doesn't give you the opportunity in advance of the contract getting written for you to find out for sure if it's approved? Are you taking advantage of what JR is talking about, which is before, like, here's the address, is this approved?
Yeah, yeah, pretty much, right? Because it's on the weekend, so it'd be hard to get an answer.
Okay.
Yeah, usually with me, we're on such a tight timeline that I express that the listing agent, this is really their responsibility to ensure that this condo is approved to go conventional or whatever it may be, FHA. Now, FHA, I could look up to see if it's an approved condo for FHA, that it's not expired. But however, with regards to condo cert, we kind of have to take them at their word because these deals are moving so dang quickly. There's usually multiple offers. So we get it, but everyone knows the table's been set, that this is dependent on their confirmation that this can go, that it is approved for conventional loan.
Okay. That's what I was just wondering, JR, how problematic is your job? Because like just hearing you talk about, well, if your harness money's going hard, it was like that would drive me crazy getting that far down the line. And I still don't know if I've got an approved project. So that's gotta be, your big challenge, right?
It is. It definitely is. We do run up against that quite often. We have some that we finally get the loan documents in, and it is the date that the hard money deadline is. So it is one of the things that we appreciate any upfront knowledge, or sending it to us as soon as you get it.
Right.
Because, we've had weeks where we've had to wait for some of the loan documents.
And JR, I would say one other thing. I still feel like I'm a newer guy here, and I don't know that I've done any condos since I've been at Zenith, but so many times you push to get everything done right away and everyone's managing to the close date. So a week before, things start getting sent out for requesting the condo cert and such. And I love to hear that, proactively, you're like, hey, let's get that information HOA up front and get the thing rolling. And that's how we are. It's like first in, first out. You got to push it quick. Thank you
Yes.
for that.
Oh, you're welcome. And we don't like to see anything sit and wait any longer than like 48 hours. We try to get everyone a response back, hopefully within 24 hours, usually no more than 48, because we know everyone is waiting and needs that answer. And we try to give everyone a heads up on if we see any kind of issues right away. So for the full reviews, probably our other biggest challenge is the new year and condo projects with their new budget. And it's amazing how many condo projects tell us, yeah, we don't have that budget yet. You might be getting it in a few weeks. And we're like, no, this is not okay. You've had a whole year to work on this. Why do you not have a new budget in the new year? But a lot of times they come back and they just like, yeah, they didn't really care to put one together yet. So for the full reviews coming into the new year, it has definitely been a challenge. And the last 2 years, especially with the COVID, the first year with the COVID, Fannie and Freddie did allow us to use the prior year if they stated that they couldn't complete their meeting for the budget due to the COVID restrictions, but they've now since taken that away. So I guess they figured that they either haven't needed to get together or do like we're doing, do a Zoom meeting or something to be able to still have a meeting and vote on a budget. So we don't have that leeway anymore that we had like last year or the year before. So it definitely has been a challenge this year trying to get the condo projects to give us their approved budgets for this new year. But what else? Is there anything else I can answer for you?
I had a question. If a condo development gets approved, is that approval good, like company-wide for 6 months or something like that? I think John had mentioned something like that in the past.
We have our condo list. We unfortunately don't get to do blanket approvals. The only kind of blanket approval we get is a Fannie Mae PERS. So the Project Eligibility Review Service is what PERS stands for. Those projects that are on the Fannie Mae PERS are like a blanket approval. We still have to get the questionnaire and the HOA insurance, just verify that nothing has changed, that everything still meets guidelines. But on the other ones, we build from like our initial reviews. So if we reviewed it before and we know it's good, then we know that there's a likelihood that nothing has changed. But because there is so much influx and things that happen within condo projects, they don't allow us to do blanket approvals. Each unit is its own separate condo review. So
Gotcha.
we do one and then build on that, which makes it quicker and easier for us. But I wish that, that we could just do like a, blanket ones. And we have some investors that only allow the questionnaire to be 30 days old, 60 and 90. So depending on which investor it's going to, we have to look at that as well. So if we have documentation that's more than like 30 days old, we usually will ask for updates because we do have investors that have different overlays. Fannie Mae allows you up to a year, but our investors do not. So it's like, it's nice if Fannie does that, but not everybody else follows that. So we usually just go with the most conservative of 30 days and go from there, especially if it's like a hedged loan and we don't know who our final investor is yet, then we just go with the most conservative. And if it's been more than 30 days since we've done the warranty, then we'll usually look and see if we need to update anything.
Does the LO actually order the condo cert at the front, at the front of the process? Is it done in processing? Do we send the request to the condo desk? What does that look like at Zenith?
I can help answer that. And Kayla, please weigh in. On your sales summary, there is a condo questionnaire, condo information. There's a whole little box right there. So up front, you've got a condo and you're turning that file over, you can immediately do that. So it is going straight to the condo desk versus waiting for our processor to get it disclosed and then doing it.
So
Yeah.
maybe after this call, Ashley, can you maybe send over a screenshot for that, where that is on the sales summary screen, so they know that's a great feature. What else? Well, I'll ask the loan officers. Does anybody have a question that they'd like to ask? We have an opportunity here with JR and Samantha on the call. Does anybody have another question that they'd like to ask?
I do.
Go ahead.
We are recently licensed in Florida. And I know some other folks are working on getting their licenses there. But if I recall, there's some unique maybe things that we should keep in mind for Florida. And since Florida does have quite a few condos and stuff on the beach, is there anything that you can weigh in on that?
Oh, absolutely, because Florida has its own guidelines.
Mm-hmm.
So when we're doing condos in Florida, they have more restrictive guidelines, just because Florida has had probably some of the oldest condominiums, and they haven't always been well ran or well taken care of. So I will send over a guide for you guys that includes the breakdown of what is considered for a limited versus a full on a Florida. And then I also have the instructions on how to place your order in Encompass. So I'll send that over for you guys to
Awesome.
distribute to your team.
Okay.
But yeah, so for Fannie Mae, like you can do a limited review on a principal. You've got a 75 cap on it with a second up to 90. And then your second home is 70 and your investor is 70 with a second up to 75 on each of those. So, and I think actually, I think Freddie is pretty much mirrors Fannie. And, but they do have, a reduced LTV on those instead of being, just like a straight 90 on a principal. So they definitely want to see people in Florida have like more skin in the game, more money put in for a limited review versus a full review. They want us to take a closer look at the Florida condos. And so they've left these more restrictive guidelines in place for some years now. But it's good to know that you guys, some of you are now licensed in Florida. We do see quite a few condo hotels in Florida, just because the nature of Florida is that where everybody wants to kind of go on vacation and not always live there full time. So that's probably one of the biggest challenges we have with our Florida condos, is that a lot of them are run as condo hotels.
JR, did you see recently, or it wasn't recently, it was a while back in the news, that Florida huge condominium complex just like completely falling down, collapsing? It was like built on sand.
Yes, yeah.
Was that approved?
No, we had never looked at that one. Yeah, that was one of the first things I did when I
Yes.
saw that happened, was look to see. I'm like, oh my gosh, have we ever done any in there? And
Insane.
yeah, that was so sad to see. And I would have thought that, maybe there would have been some kind of red flags, indications of, structural issues that excuse me, that maybe somebody was aware of, but maybe they did not take heed to the extent of it. And because it was, right on the edge of the water and probably the underneath where it had been slowly, the salt water is so corrosive that I'm sure it was just eating away at the structural integrity of it. But yeah, what a sad thing to hear about. But that is why Fannie and Freddie now both have the items that over this with the special assessment and deferred maintenance that we have to check into.
Huh.
Yeah.
What else? Does anybody else have any questions? I have a question for JR. But,
Okay.
well, mine is like, what do you wish loan officers would know? What do you wish they all knew? Or what do you wish they would all freaking do to make it easier for you to help us?
Probably there's a couple of things. When you run an AUS and you get a waiver review, like an appraisal waiver. If
PIW?
Yep, if you get a PIW, if that condo project has any kind of deed restrictions, age, or I think some of the other ones that right of first refusal, if they have any kind of deed restriction, it negates that PIW. It wipes it out. So we've had ones where, or you'll run it as a detached condo. It's not detached. We do a Google search, even if we don't have an appraisal yet. We Google it, take our little guide, drive around the neighborhood if we have to, see are these actually detached or is there anything that attaches them? Because if there's a breezeway that attaches one condo to the next, we can't consider it detached. So when you rerun it from detached to an attached condo, sometimes you also then will lose that PIW. It'll take away that appraisal waiver.
Huh.
So that's kind of one of the snake bites that we've been seeing, because then you're scrambling to find an appraiser and get an appraisal done and still meet our close of escrow. One of the other things too, I guess, is just, order it as quickly as you can. I know you guys, Zenith is set up so that you don't have to wait for the disclosures and the intent to proceed. You have it set up so that you can send it in. As soon as that loan is in Encompass, like fill out the little screen, it sends us a notification. Here's a new condo review to work on. So we're happy to be able to get working on yours as quickly as possible.
Okay. Does anybody else have any questions? All right. Well, JR, this is really helpful. Should have done this a long time ago, so I'm glad that you guys glad you were able to make the time. Samantha, thanks for all your help as well. And then, we might have you guys back on sometime in the future.
I would love to. Absolutely.
Okay.
We are so happy to be able to help you guys, and we love partnering with you guys. All of you are wonderful to work with. We love working with you.
You can go ahead and just tell everybody that we are the best group that you work with and your favorite, right? Like
absolutely.
That's what I thought.
Yep, you guys are. We do. We love working with all of you. And our newest condo reviewer, Elizabeth, she goes by Liz, is actually in Colorado. So she came from a credit union, but that's what they did was just Colorado condos. So she's a wealth of knowledge for us for your Colorado group. And it's great because she'll see some of them as you guys send them in that she recognizes that she's already done before. So it's been great adding another condo reviewer, and especially someone that lives and works there in Colorado.
Yeah, that's great. But having familiarity with so many projects, that's awesome. How long was she at the credit union?
If I remember right, I believe it was around 5 years, 5 or 6 years. Yeah. So, yeah, so she's been doing it for a while. So she's been with us now, I think we're going on 4 months.
Right on.
And yep, so she's definitely like getting her comfort level with our processes and all of our systems. So yeah, she's doing really well. It's nice having another person to be able to jump on and look at these and help keep the flow going so that, you know, we don't have any kind of bottlenecking. Because there are times where it seems like everything rolls in all at once.
Right.
And that's one of the things that we just try to make sure that you guys don't have to wait more than like
Well,
one
yeah, it's
to 2
frustrating.
days.
Yeah, because we're under and I appreciate that you understand that. Everybody's just under a lot of pressure. And it was good. Like I could tell right away that you get what we're up against and what we're struggling with. It's that everybody else is putting pressure on us, the sellers, the buyers agents, the buyers, everybody, and you know, the processor, everybody's like anxious because we've got a deadline that's real. So we appreciate that you have that same level of urgency, which just makes our lives a lot better. So thanks for that.
Oh, yes, absolutely. No, and we appreciate that you guys have taken that initiative to be able to start them as quickly as you do.
Well, and
Because
that's my big takeaway for everybody is find out you have a condo, go get the information, like as much as you can get it, try to get the information. First of all, if you know they're writing an offer, get the information up front. That takes schooling your realtor. That's educating a real estate agent about condos. If you got somebody that does a lot or they know they're looking at it, if you know you got a customer looking at a condo, you should be talking to the buyer's agent before they go out and show them any and let them know like, okay, there's a process here. I want to make sure that we don't have any hiccups or slowdowns on this. I have to make sure that you've got an approved project that we can finance. And a lot of realtors don't even know what you're talking about, especially if they're newer. So you've got a big part of this is you guys setting the right expectation right up front. And then it becomes a lot easier to manage. And you don't want to be part of the reason why a buyer falls in love with a project they can't buy. Like, because you said, oh yeah, you should be fine. And like, oh, guess what? You're not fine. Like I said, my first ever transaction was a condo conversion that everybody told me I could do and I couldn't do it.
oh boy,
That was a lot of fun. So
I know I hate those the calls to let everyone know that something is not right. But more than anything, we try to help do this to protect the buyer. The buyer, we don't want somebody to get into a situation where they're now stuck in a condo project that they may never be able to get out of. They may not be able to refinance or resell. Plus, if it has financial difficulties, it could put them in a really bad financial position where they are looking at special assessments for years down the road. Maybe it hasn't been kept up and there's a lot of deferred maintenance that needs to be done. So we look at this as we're just trying to help protect the borrower, the buyer, especially if it's a purchase, because they have no knowledge of what they're getting into.
that's a great point. I'm just remembering now what this is like when you're talking to a buyer that's buying a condo and you've got to deliver that information. At the end of the day, you're trying to keep them from having that issue because they could have that issue down the road. They can't sell.
Right.
Like because nobody will finance it. And,
Yeah.
or the only person that'll finance it is a bank that requires a 20% down payment. Most condo buyers aren't putting down 20%.
True.
And so, it's a lot of first time home buyer people. And so, yeah, it's a big deal. You're trying to protect them. So,
Yeah. I've even made those phone calls with, like, I've done conference calls with loan officers to the buyer to explain to them what is happening within a condo project so that they're aware. And, one of the biggest things too is to just tell them, it's like, you have to be your own advocate. You need to get the documents, read through them, look at the rules and regulations, look at what you can and can't do, be a part of the whole environment. That's why the ones that are the investment properties, I think, have the restrictions just because they know that those people are probably not going to be as involved in the HOA, in the running of it, how well things go, what they need to have done. A lot of them look at it, no, we just want to keep the dues low. Well, how are you then going to upkeep and maintain this condo project? So, it's like somebody buying a home and never doing any maintenance on it. So a lot of them, they don't want to see that or hear that. And especially if they're buying it as an investment. So the stronger ones are the ones that are buying it as a primary and then as a second home. So that's why we look at too on the, for an investment, that's a full review. Excuse me, how many of those are the owner occupied units. They have that 50% mark on the full review for investment for a reason, because they want to make sure that enough people are involved in it to help keep it well ran.
Got it. All right.
Okay, well, I will send you guys out some information and I'll send it over to you, John and Ashley. And then that way you guys can send it out to whoever you'd like on your teams.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you guys for having us.
You bet. Thanks, JR. Thanks, Samantha.